Hello everyone, we're going to start today's video by first of all discussing the purpose of these edits. So their main purpose is to bring a source clip into the timeline. Now you can either do it with the dual screen mode turn on, or you can switch to a single screen like this. Now if you're staying on a single viewer mode, what you want to do is to simply drag and drop a clip on top of it. Now this is going to reveal the hidden menu with all these edits. Now if you were to switch to the dual screen mode, now what you want to do is to make sure that your source clip is properly displayed on the left source viewer. Then what you can do is to simply drag and drop this left source viewer on top of the right timeline viewer. Now this is going to once again reveal the hidden menu with all these cool edits that we're going to look at later on. Now, as we saw earlier, once the hidden menu is reviewed, you have all these edits that you can take advantage of. And all these edits are also available under the edit menu. And you can also see their associated shortcuts as well. So remembering them will really make your life easier, especially if you use these a lot. Now, last but not the least, to make things even better, you have 3 commonly used edits that are easily accessible right on top of the timeline. They are insert, overwrite, and replace. And no worries, once again, we are going to look at how all these edits work just in a minute. There are a couple of things that you should be aware of before executing an edit. So the first being the fact that you can set an in and out point in the source clip to define the range of the source clip that will get imported into the timeline. Now, if you don't set any, of course, the entire duration of this clip will be considered. Now, the second being the fact that the position of the playheads are extremely important, with the position of the playhead in the timeline playing a very critical role for all edits, and the position of the playhead in the source viewer playing a very critical role when it comes to certain edits, and that is something we're going to look at later on. Okay, so now let's talk about the first edit, insert. So what insert does is to essentially insert this source clip into the timeline where the playhead is, and to execute it, simply drag and drop the clip on top of the insert command, and there you have it. You will notice that this is going to push all the footage to the right of the playhead over to the right, and this is something we call rippling. So as a result of this edit, you are not losing any footage. However, the position of the clips to the right of the playhead are going to get impacted as a result. Up next is overwrite. So overwrite is actually the default edit in this hidden menu. So what that means is that if you drag a clip over to the right to activate the hidden menu, simply drop it, then this will activate the override command. So now overwrite, what it does is to basically just overwrite whatever content is to the right of the playhead with the source clip content. And in this case, there is no rippling whatsoever. And what that means is that when overwrite is executed, you are going to lose footage in the timeline as a result if you have clips to the right of the playhead. Now, replace is a very interesting edit in the sense that it's trying to line up the frame at the playhead in the source viewer with the playhead in the timeline. And as a result of this edit, it's going to replace the content of the clip that intersects with the playhead in the timeline. So to execute this edit, let's just simply drag and drop this source clip over the replace command here in the hidden menu. Now you're gonna see, first of all, we have the 2 exact same frame on both viewers. And on top of that, this clip that intersects with the playhead in the timeline is now being replaced with the source clip content. Now, what if, let's say, we place this playhead in the viewer, in the source viewer towards the end? So now if you were to execute that same command, you're gonna see that only the first half of the clip that intersects with the playhead in the timeline is now being impacted. And the reason is just simply because that there isn't really much footage left to the right of this playhead in the source clip. Okay, now what if we, let's say, place this playhead at the very beginning of this source clip? Now, if we were to execute that same command, you will see that only the second half of this clip is now being impacted as a result. So a couple things to keep in mind here. One, the duration of the timeline is not being impacted. However, the content of the clip that intersects with the playhead will be replaced as a result. Okay, so for fit to fill, well, what it's trying to do is to fit the duration of the source clip into the duration of the clip that intersects with the playhead in the timeline. And what that means is that if the source clip is longer, then it will get compressed as a result. And if it's shorter, then it will get stretched out because of the edit. Okay, so now to demonstrate, I'm actually going to set an in and out point, but a very short and brief one. You will see that it's just like a 1 second clip. And then what I'm gonna do is to now execute the fit to fill command. And then you're going to see that it's going to fit this very short clip into this clip that intersects with the playhead. And because the duration of this clip is much longer, so now you're going to see this super slow and choppy playback as a result, because the clip that we've decided to import into the timeline is so much shorter. And another thing you will notice is that the duration of the timeline is not changing as the result. And also there's no rippling whatsoever. It's just the clip that intersects with the playhead that gets impacted. Okay, now let's try another scenario. No in and out point, and I'm placing the playhead over a very short clip in the timeline. So now if we were to execute that same command, this time around, it's going to do the opposite. You're going to get a much faster playback as a result, because, well, the source clip is way much longer and the clip that intersects with this playhead is so much shorter as a result. So it's going to get compressed in this case. Okay, so next we're going to look at place on top, and the way it works is very straightforward. It's going to simply drop this source clip right on top of the part of the clip that intersects with the playhead in the timeline. And if you don't have additional tracks in the timeline, well, now you're going to get one as a result. So this is something special to note. Okay, so next we're going to look at something called append to end, and all it does is going to place this source clip at the end of the timeline. So this can be extremely helpful if you're just trying to put together a timeline very quickly using your source clips. So last but not least, we're going to look at ripple overwrite. Now what this does is that it's going to overwrite the clip that intersects with the playhead in the timeline. And the best part is that it's rippled. So what that means is that the clip to the right of this existing clip, it's not going to get lost, but it will get pushed around as a result, depending on the duration of the source clip. So in this case, you will see that the clip to the right get pushed out a little bit. So now what I'm going to do is to demonstrate the opposite by setting an in and out point in the source clip, and it's going to be a very short duration. Now let's execute the same command. Now you're going to see that this clip to the right is going to get pushed over to the left as a result, because the duration of the source clip is much shorter. So there are a few additional things to keep in mind. The first being that if you have multiple tracks like this and you execute and edit, well, it's gonna go to the first track by default, but all the other tracks will get impacted as a result. So a question you may have at this point is that what if I don't want the second tracks to get impacted? So in that case, what you want to do is to turn off auto track selector. They are those little symbols that you see there at the left side of the track. So if you simply click on that to turn it off, now what you want to do is to execute that same command, and you're going to see that only the first track is now being impacted. Okay, now another question you may have at this point is that, well, what if I want the edit to take place on the second track instead of the first? So what you want to do then is to turn on destination control for those tracks by simply clicking on that V2 there and then click on A2 for the audio track. Now, if you were to execute that same command, you're going to see that this is going to take place on the second track instead of the first. And if you want the first track to be unaffected as a result of this, once again, simply turn off auto track selector for the first tracks for both audio and video. And now you see that only the second track is being impacted. Now lastly, let's talk about in and out points. We saw that earlier we can set in and out point in the source viewer. Well, you can also set in and out points like this in the timeline. And when you do this, you clearly define how much of the timeline is going to get impacted as a result of you executing these edits. Now, there are exceptions. So the first being that append to end. Well, append to end, it doesn't really care where the in and out points are. It's always going to place the clip at the end of the timeline. Now, the other one is ripple overwrite. If you execute ripple overwrite right now, well, it doesn't seem like it's working. And the reason is because ripple overwrite is something we call 4-point edit. So what you want to do is to actually set out an in and out point in the source clip as well. So now if you were to execute the same command, you see that now it's working exactly like we expected. All right, guys, I hope this helps. And as always, I will see you next time.